Hello people, what's going on? Welcome back and good evening. Welcome to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that, and welcome to Chelsea News, the daily and sometimes twice daily series here on Football Therapy where I reflect on what's been said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it, but of course, more importantly, asking for yours. And ladies and gentlemen, things are happening. Matt Law has just had an article published on the Telegraph. It's an exclusive. Roman Abramovich gives the green light for Chelsea sale to go ahead. We're going to react to it together. This is seemingly an important part of this story that's just gone live, and we're going to react to it together. I'm going to give you the information, I'm going to give you my reaction, but it's important that you guys check out the article. It's behind a paywall. I probably won't read all of it. I'll certainly link it down below, and I can definitely recommend Matt's work. It's excellent. If you enjoy my content, reacting to news stories and giving you news stories, please do show your way of appreciation by liking the video. And you're all welcome to subscribe. And should you subscribe, make sure that all important bell notifications icon is clicked. We're going to react to this as we go. Roman Abramovich has given the green light for the sale of Chelsea to go ahead, with bids now expected to be considered by the end of next week. Of course, we record on Friday evening. Chelsea owner Abramovich, or Abramovich as you're supposed to say it, has instructed the merchant bank Rain to go ahead with the sale despite being hit by sanctions that effectively take the process out of his hands. The news will be a huge relief for Chelsea fans, as the club were facing up to the possibility of a doomsday scenario had Abramovich pulled the plug on the sale. Of course, there was a pressure point by Boris Johnson, the UK government. If you don't sort of sell the club and and prove to us that you're you're not controlling any of the funds, Chelsea will decay. We can let it run, but generally your position of power, they let Chelsea continue. They let Chelsea staff continue being paid, and they let Chelsea fulfill the fixtures so it doesn't hurt opposition teams as well. But ultimately they knew the detrimental effect this would have on Chelsea, so they put their foot on Roman Abramovich's neck essentially, and he's obviously had to abide. Chelsea had warned the government yesterday that sanctions imposed on the club threatened their ability to complete the season. Matters were further complicated later on Friday when a set of Barclaycard credit cards belonging to the club were temporarily suspended. Both Rain and Chelsea have held talks with the government. So Rain, the third party that are handling the sale, they and Chelsea have talked to the government over how the sale can go ahead, and have agreed to a process where the preferred bidder and the use of the funds from the sale will require government approval. Rain had set a deadline of next Tuesday for the first bids, but that is now set to be pushed back to the end of next week to allow the 24-hour pause in the process to try and attract more bidders. Good. As reported by the Telegraph Sport, there is currently a three-way shootout for Chelsea between the American-led groups. Todd Bowley's consortium, which is seemingly the best one in my opinion for Chelsea's new owner, has made a bid of between 2 and 2.5 billion with the Ricketts family and Woody Johnson. No one wants Woody Johnson. Also thought to have put forward proposals. British businessman Nick Candy has insisted he remains interested in making a bid, and will be at Chelsea's next game against Newcastle United on Sunday. Of course, Nick Candy is a big Chelsea fan. I've reported on him a lot recently on the channel. He remains interested. He is a property developer. He would be interested in developing Stamford Bridge and making Chelsea, giving it a stronger revenue stream in terms of match day. The fact Chelsea seem prepared to wait until the end of next week for bids to be considered would suggest the club has enough cash to operate under the sanctions in the short term, despite the fact of the credit cards belonging to the club were temporarily suspended. Okay, so the bank was expected to lift the suspension after assessing the license of the club had been given by the government to continue football-related activities. Sources close to the club emphasise that no accounts have been frozen, but the Blues have laid out the doomsday scenario to the government of how seriously the sanctions imposed on Abramovich will impact the club if a sale does not go through and the current licence is not amended. Chelsea sat down with the government and said, if you carry this on, Chelsea will be crippled. You say you want Chelsea to be healthy. It's an important cultural hub. It's important to the employees. It's important to the tens of millions or how many millions of fans around the world. It's Boris Johnson is a populist prime minister. He won't want to upset people. Chelsea have said to him, look, loosen these restrictions and let the club be sold. That's where we're at with that. Telegraph Sport can reveal that under the current licence that allows the club to operate while Abramovich's assets are frozen, and Merchant Bank Rain decides on a preferred buyer, Chelsea would not be able to pay for enough security, stewarding and catering to keep all sections for Stamford Bridge open, and if the very worst case scenario, Chelsea do not believe they would be able to complete the season under the current terms of the licence, which they are hopeful will be reviewed in the coming days to help them through the sale process. I personally would be very surprised if they are not loosened, if there's no wiggle room, because ultimately the government will want the same thing. You'd have to assume the government would want a quick sale of Chelsea Football Club. They don't want millions of people frustrated, uncertain and upset in, by the way, a much a turbulent time in Europe. Much more important things are going on than football. Excuse me while I just get this camera right. I think that's nearly straight. Chelsea have argued that the club needs ticket sales to bring in enough revenue to remain operational, and that the 20,000 cap on travel would not have even covered the cost of going to Norwich on Thursday night. Like, not even, I know, like, Chelsea it's hard to have sympathy here, like, get on the train, do you know what I mean? Wow, rich footballers, but this is the way we function. It's expensive, it costs like 30, 40, 50,000 for domestic travel, 20,000 cap is not enough, let alone for the European nights. Would not have enough so it wouldn't have covered them going to Norwich, which obviously unnecessarily, in my opinion, they flew to, let alone travelling overseas for Champions League games. Under the sanctions that were imposed on the club Thursday morning, Chelsea were told that the cost of hosting a game must not exceed $500,000, but the government has been informed it costs between $800,000 and $1 million to stage a Premier League match. Just shows you how much the government know at the moment. It's like, yeah, you can have this much. No, mate, that's not half as much as we need. Shows you they're completely, not equipped to navigate the situation, and it's in everybody's interest that a sale is done. What wild times we live in. Chelsea have appealed to the government that they could not provide security, stewarding and catering in some areas of the grounds, and not others, insisting that their only option would be to shut areas or full stands within Stamford Bridge, which obviously looks bad on the TV, on the on Sky Sports or whatever channel it's on. Oh look, loads of stands of Chelsea are shut. Thank the government. As part of that appeal, Chelsea have insisted that allowing them to sell tickets and bring in operational revenue would not provide any profit for Abramovich, which of course is what they want. They don't want any money to go to Roman. They're saying, no, this won't bring money to Roman. This will just let us operate, which is what you want us to do. They have also argued that the current licence needlessly punishes supporters and undermines the club's cultural importance. The licence is not expected to be amended in time for Sunday's game against Newcastle United, which means supporters are set for a very different Stamford Bridge experience. There will be no official programme on sale outside the bridge, as only subscribers who have already purchased hospitality packages will be able to get one. I'm not sure how much that matters, but I think it's just an indicator of where things are. That means the programme kiosks will be shut, and those who usually have to sell them have stood down. Chelsea will continue to pay staff members, even if they have been stood down, but freelance and contract staff will not be paid. The club shop will remain shut, and Chelsea were on Friday making the decision over what will be displayed in the front of the players' shirts of the weekend. Of course, they can't have the number 3 on, surely. Yeah, wow. The club's main shirt sponsor, Free, here we go, have suspended their deal and asked for their logo to be taken off. But Chelsea do not have stock of blank shirts to use. That means the players are likely to either still wear the Free logo or it will be covered up. Mental. Other than that, all their branding to be removed in the shirts in the stadium. The hospitality boxes will be empty on Sunday as the activity between the telecommunications company and Chelsea has been suspended. So I guess Free run the hospitality boxes. But you can imagine, if they have like stuff covered on the shirts, surely they can peel it off. I mean, will that ruin the shirt? I don't know. Supporters who had purchased stadium tours before March the 10th will have them on it. Imagine going this post-apocalyptic stadium tour where like no one else is about and like Chelsea's looming, you know, the stadium tour and historical, Chelsea museum stuff. We were great. We might be dying now. Who knows? Seems so peculiar. Yeah, so you can have your stadium tour. Tours in the stadium with a lot more stuff being stood down unless new government license allows them to restart. Chelsea's Champions League trip to Lille next Wednesday will not be affected. The club has already booked for the payment. Okay, so yeah, again, shout out to Matt Law, incredible journalist, ear to the ground. Make sure you do go check out the link in the description. Absolutely wild. What do we take away from this? That the government, surely, they've sat down with Chelsea and Rain. Chelsea, the Rain Group, are in charge of selling Chelsea, and the government have sat down, and they've had a conversation. Chelsea have asserted 2 things. 1, sell the club now, because this is, decaying Chelsea Football Club, and it's good for absolutely no one. Roman's not making money. This is not good for anyone. Sell the club. 2, loosen the sanctions. Because if you don't, it's pretty much the same as I said in point 1. And the third thing is Roman Abramovich has given the nod. He hasn't, because there was like a potentiality, a risk, a threat of Roman going, you know what, I tried to be nice. I've done so much for this UK economy. I've done, you haven't whinged the whole time I've been here. I've said I'll give the proceeds to charity. I've written off 1.5 billion to Chelsea, and now you're doing this. You know what? No more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm lawyering up billions of pounds worth of international lawyers to attack the UK government. This could get messy. And sorry, Chelsea fans, I tried to protect you, but it got personal. In the words of Michael Jordan, it got personal for me. It could have happened, but no. We heard from the people around Abramovich, or it's been reported, that he does want what's best for Chelsea, that he doesn't want to hurt Chelsea. He wants to protect his Chelsea legacy, and to do so, he's just said, fine, do it. Just sell it. Do it now. I don't want to see Chelsea suffering. Sell the club. Get it done. And that's where we are. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to do a video. I know it's late here in the UK time, but I wanted to reflect on it because it's big news. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Please do drop a like if you enjoy my content, and consider subscribing. Daily videos, of course, sometimes multiple. You can be a part of the journey. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.